Alright, I'm at Harrisburg Transportation Center, and today we are going to travel from Harrisburg to Baltimore using only local transit. No Amtrak, no Greyhound. Somehow this is possible. I'm not sure who is making the trips that they think requires them to run these services, but I guess we're going to find out because I'm going to take them. For reasons I cannot ascertain at this time, they're playing what seems like Baroque or classical opera over the speakers in this bus shelter, and I have no idea why. I mean, I've heard that that can be like a strategy that some cities use to like be hostile to loiterers in a really weird and perverse way. I like it. I would sit here and listen to that for a while. But I guess most people don't like it, so. So as we pull out of Harrisburg Transportation Center, this is bus 83N, operated by York Rapid Transit. And I'm trying to be quiet because it's really quiet on this bus, but yes, so this is going to take us down to York, the York Transfer Center, their version of a transit hub. And then I'm going to transfer there to 83S, which will take me down, it does go further than this normally, but I'm just going to be taking it as far as the Hunt Valley Light Rail Station, operated by Baltimore. I'm not sure why 83S goes into Maryland, but it does. In fact, it goes as far south as Towson. I don't know who's commuting to York from there, or vice versa, but they operate it, and so I'm going to use it. And then I'm going to take the light rail the rest of the way into Baltimore. And so that's the itinerary for today. Not a super complex one, but definitely an interesting chain of trips that, as it happens, line up enough to make sure that the wait time isn't long at any particular stop. So, yeah, this is only possible on weekdays because these commuter buses, the 83s, only run on weekdays. Alright, so if you caught last week's video, you'll know that we went from Philly to Harrisburg using only local transit. And the culminating bus was in fact the 83N. In fact, we're going the same direction, inbound to York, because outbound and inbound are relative to York, which operates it, and not Harrisburg. Back when I lived closer to Harrisburg, I remember having to deal with this all the time. There's just ridiculous traffic on this bridge. We're going so slow right now, but it does look like the people who planned this schedule did take that into account and have padded it appropriately, because we've actually got quite a long time to get down to York, so I'm not really worried about this. So while this bus is definitely a reasonably quick option to travel between Harrisburg and York, we travel on the highway at highway speeds, so you know it becomes more comparable to driving, but we do have to make some stops at a bunch of park and ride stations, which makes sense. I mean, I'm actually surprised anyone actually does that, parks and ride for a bus, but I guess maybe if traffic in Harrisburg is just that hellish, maybe people do it. I guess it's a concept that does work. I mean, the number of cars it actually takes off the road is probably nearly negligible, which is really unfortunate. You know, it would really take a lot of cars off the road. A regional rail system. But anyways.
Now approaching exit 33, Park and Ride.
This is our first park and ride stop.
A little later.
Gotta say, one of the major things you gotta appreciate about York is the fact that they didn't run the interstate through their downtown. highway exit is like 2 miles away from downtown. It is kind of interesting how the railroad track just runs down the middle of the street. Got 25 minutes to just kill here. I'm not sure if this bus in front of me is going to become the 83S or if it's just going to pull away. But I'm not going to go anywhere, so we're going to find out. Yeah.
Alright, from Harrisburg back to end of the
Exactly.
Alright, gotcha, thank you. Hi, how are you?
This is the same bus driver that I had on my last 83N up to Harrisburg in my last video. And of course this is only like an hour and a half later. And of course I'm the one holding this phone and microphone and everything. And so obviously I stick out a bit. So of course she recognizes me and is like, what? So anyways, that's just kind of funny. But anyways, I'm on the bus, 83S to Huntville. And it leaves in 12 minutes. So I'm just gonna chill until then. So I guess more people use this thing to go to Maryland than I thought. I'm not the only one. So yeah, earlier I was actually sort of recruited by the bus driver to help a nice gentleman with his kid who hadn't used the app before, figure it out so he could pay the fare. So that was interesting. It's funny that they looked at me as a person of significant expertise, even though I've literally only used the app a couple of times, and not at all prior to today. But I guess they believed in me because they saw me use it before, so anyways. So 83S, just like 83N, is a commuter bus. So it's got a couple of park and ride stops to make. We're in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania at the moment. And I honestly had no idea where this park and ride actually is. Seems quite a ways off the highway, which seems a little bit unusual. But I didn't plan this route and I don't make the rules, so I'm just along for the ride. I wish I weren't doing this on such a bleak, dreary day. It's been rainy or drizzly and overcast the whole day. And as we get towards the end of the day, it's gonna even start getting darker and it's just gonna feel even worse. It would have been so much better in the sun in so many ways, but it didn't impact the trip so far, so I guess that's all that counts, right?
Alright, thank you again for your help.
No problem.
Alright, take care.
Oh, this is a cool looking service. Nice new vehicles. Looks pretty good. Alright, so here's the deal. Unfortunately, the transfer that I could have maybe made to accelerate this process, the bus wasn't quite early enough for me to make that. But I have to take specifically, so the Baltimore Light Rail is divided into 2 branches. They are the same up until like the very bottom, where one line, only one of the lines goes to the airport. I'm actually going to the airport because that's where there's an Amtrak station, and I'm going to be catching Amtrak home from the airport. So, I mean, okay, it would have given me just a little bit more schedule padding and a little bit more scheduling security to be able to catch the earlier train. But the deal is that this line has frequencies of 15 minutes, and they alternate in terms of which destination they're going to. So if I just missed an airport one, I'm going to be waiting half an hour for the next one. And that's okay. I can deal with that. Well, isn't that interesting? The train left 2 minutes early. Pretty sure it's not supposed to do that, but alright. Best not go anywhere. Otherwise I might miss my next train too, if it decides to also leave early. There's a proof of payment system. A lot of modern light rail seems to be that way, including the New Jersey River line. I wonder if anyone's actually ever going to come around and check, because no one did on the New Jersey River line, so I guess we'll find out. We have like another hour and 20 minutes to find out. This is a long one. They kind of give it like 3D perspective. That's kind of neat. Maybe a little gratuitous, but kind of neat. In any case, here we go. This feels extremely similar to the New Jersey River line. Just in terms of like just the style of the vehicle and the way the tracks are laid out. Just everything about it feels extremely similar. This is the closest light rail stop to Penn Station, but we're going to BWI, so we're not getting off here. So the only problem with what I'm doing is just how tight of a schedule I'm actually on. I'm very much depending on this thing being on time, or at least nearly on time. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. I mean, I do have contingencies. I'm not completely screwed. And of course, this is the tail end of the trip. So if there's anything going to go wrong, going wrong here is probably the least harmful way for it to go wrong. But I sure hope everything goes right today. So why is my schedule so tight right here at the end? Well, once I get into BWI, even if I get in exactly on time, I only have about 22 minutes to make it over to the Amtrak station via a free shuttle service that runs every 8 minutes. Practically speaking, I might even need to be aiming for a very specific single run of the shuttle in order to make it to the station in enough time to not miss my train back to Philly tonight. I booked this on a very tight schedule because I didn't want to sit and wait around forever, since I'd just filmed last week's video this morning and anticipated being exhausted, but with the on-time performance of American Transit, that's always a gamble. So far, we've kept a pretty decent on-time performance. The problem is, for me, pretty good is not exactly good enough. My butt might be saved by the fact that in between 2 runs of the airport shuttle, there's a different bus, which I will unfortunately have to pay for, but it's $2. It's not a big deal. That also will take me from the light rail station to the train station. so that if I miss the shuttle that I wanted to catch, I'm not stuck waiting like 8 or 9 minutes. Because my connection is that tight, where 9 minutes could really make the difference. So I might not have to wait that long. Just might have to fork over an extra $2. And I'm okay with that. I'm still optimistic that I can make my train. Alright, the display has changed to only show 2 stops. Because that's all that's left. We're 2 stops away from the airport. Now, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to sit around and chit-chat or show you around when we get there. I'm going to have to move pretty much no matter what I'm doing. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit of an anticlimactic end here. Well, it depends on whether you think it's anticlimactic to watch me scramble to catch my Amtrak
Please use the handrails for your safety.
But anyway, it's not like I can give you climber shots of the airport station or something like that. It's just all business when I get there.
Next station, BWI Marshall Airport.
It's going to be a tight connection onto this shuttle. Either 1 minute or 0 minute. I'm not sure which. But I think it's doable as long as it is, in fact, the length of time that I think it is, and it doesn't just like arrive early or something. So we'll find out. I do have bus 75 as a fallback. Well, let's see what happens. Right. I think I made it. Shuttles aren't tracked. And this one happened to be 3 minutes late, so that works great for me. It's funny. Stressing this whole time, as it turns out, this isn't even mine. This is the one before mine. This is train 90, and I'm catching train 186. That means this came up from Savannah? Is that right? Well, anyways, I get to watch it leave, which I guess is cool. I mean, I'm on the right side of the track. This is track 1, and my train leaves from track 1, so that's fine. I don't need to go over to the bridge. Well, my train is due very shortly, but until it gets here, at which point, once I'm on board, I'll think about wrapping up the video, but until it gets here, yeah, that was very stressful. But basically, what it proved today is that you can go from Harrisburg to Baltimore using only local transit. And in fact, you can go all the way to Baltimore Airport on local transit. No Greyhound, no Amtrak. The other thing is, I discovered apparently that there's at least a few people who do actually use those buses to make those connections and actually go to Baltimore that way. Not many. All these services, don't get a ton of ridership, and it's kind of disappointing to see that they don't, because it's almost an argument against their existence in terms of the expense to operate and the number of cars that they actually take off the road. It's a bit sad, but overall, decent experiences. Everything was reasonably on time. The only thing everything in fact ran early. The only thing that wasn't on time was the Baltimore Light Rail, and that was only a couple of minutes late. Just happened to be that those were the couple of minutes that mattered. But then I got lucky that the airport shuttle showed up a couple of minutes late. It was supposed to come at 8:37, ended up coming at 8:40. So I ended up catching it, although I did have my backup plan available. We're at the end of the platform. Well, so I guess I'll turn around and start walking back. So yeah, very successful trip, very successful day. Everything I did worked out. So yeah, this has been, I guess, part 2 of, they're not really that connected, but they're the same theme, right? Going from A to B on local transit only. This was a lot simpler, conceptually speaking. I only had to use 3 vehicles. 2 of them were from the same agency, you know, and the only thing that I really did for myself was set myself up for this ultra-tight connection to my train back home, and even that worked out. So, unlike some possible trips that you could make on local transit only, Harrisburg to Baltimore actually seems like a somewhat useful one. And although it seems like I was stressed out at the end here, it was really just me catching my train home, which obviously if you do this, you're not going to be doing, so you don't really have to worry about that. So, anyways, my train is due in about 3 minutes, assuming that it's on time, and so I'll catch back up with you when the train gets here. Oh, there's a southbound train. It's not mine, though. Well, they just updated the train's position on the trackers, and apparently it's sitting in Washington, D.C., not moving. That's great. So the only thing to go wrong today is the train home at the very end. That's pretty rich, actually. Well, I guess I'll maybe wander off in search of a snack if I can find a vending machine or something. I don't know what there is at this station. It's pretty basic.
3. Thank you for choosing Amtrak.
Oh, so it says 9:10 now. Okay.
A few moments later.
Alright, in the very brief amount of time it took me to go inside, I observed that they had closed the snack section. They updated the time again. It's now worse. Now it says 9:23. Okay, so I'm gonna be waiting at least 23 minutes. I don't like that. Man.
Attention, please.
Alright, I guess I'll just chill on the platform watching all the southbound trains go by. Let's play a game called How Many Trains Can Go By in the Opposite Direction Before Mine Shows Up. Thank God.
186, y'all, 186.
A little later.
Yeah, I didn't film much on the train ride because it was too packed. And I had a seatmate and I didn't want to disturb them, so I really didn't film anything. So I figured I would just wait until now to wrap it up. So yeah, that is Harrisburg to Baltimore by local transit. And then of course came back via Amtrak. But yeah, hope that was possibly useful, and I hope you enjoy. See you next time.